Hey Rangers, today we're going to be talking about Dragon Ball Z The Movie 2, which will have Tree of Might and Lord Slug on this DVD, or Blu-ray, depending on which one you buy. Before I jump into the review, it's kind of really weird seeing that there's no Super Saiyans, there's no kind of really powering up, there's no Vegetas, but there is a god lot of Gohan whining. Same as on Movie Collection 1, there isn't any kind of special features, it's just a lot of trailers, and that's particularly it. But I've got to admit, when watching some of them back, it did remind me very much of the old days where it's just like, Dragon Ball Z is coming to home cinema. And it kind of very, the music as well, not happy music, but very kind of dramatic music, which kind of made me go, oh, that reminds me of like the website and stuff like that. We're going to talk about the animation. Now, the animation has been really cleared up. It's not the same. It looks a lot cleaner, and you can definitely tell where they've gone to it. From when I looked back at previous ones, it looked very kind of like a little bit grainy, or the animation wasn't as sharp. Compared to Super, it's a whole different kind of ball game. But obviously, as animation progresses, techniques as well as like certain things always like kind of like change over time. The way it's been animated is very action-packed. It's very fast. It's not just a kind of like, we're going to wait for this to kind of build up. It's bam, straight in your face. That is not going to change. And the reason why I understand this is because they're pretty much under an hour. So you've got a lot to tell. You've got a lot of different stories to tell within that certain time. One thing I will say is that if you do blink, if you do kind of like avert your attention to something else, you will miss quite a lot. And it's one of those things like, when did that happen? Oh, I need to go back a little bit. But if you're kind of watching it just straight away, then it's fine. Like, you'll notice everything that's happening straight away rather than kind of losing it halfway through or something like that. So let's talk about the writing. I felt that the writing was a little bit rushed, that it just was like straight away, here's all the information, here's everything, if you miss it, you miss it, and then you have to play catch up. I do hate Gohan quite a bit in this, and it's really weird because he's one of my favorite characters when he's an adult, but it felt like Gohan was written really weirdly or wasn't written very well at the time. Also kind of Chi-Chi as well. Now I know that she wants Gohan to be the best at being a scholar and stuff, but it just generally felt that every single time that he had to spend a second always studying. If he got up, if he went to the toilet, or if he just like went to his window, Chi-Chi would just be like, you've got to study, and she really irritates me all the time. When Goku says, oh, we need Gohan because we need to go save the world, you know, it's really important. She's like, no, my boy has to stay home. He can't go off and fight. He's got to be a scholar. It generally annoyed the crap out of me constantly, and I just kind of felt like Gohan feels smothered. So when he steps out and Chi-Chi's like, oh my god, he's taken the Mr. Piccolo's clothes, you kind of think, good on you, Gohan. Good on you. You can study anytime, but the world needs you right now. I'm so glad that Chi-Chi's not really in a lot of stuff like in Super or that much in Z. Let's talk about the performances. Now, it's very hard to kind of talk about the performances when everything is pretty much focused around Goku. It's really nice seeing some of the other characters like Oolong and Yajirobe coming in, but everything is mainly focused on Goku, and that's it. Sometimes Piccolo and Gohan would take the lead, and it was really kind of interesting to see this. But still, everything went back straight to Goku. And again, he is the main hero of the story, and I can totally understand that. One thing that I did find really interesting is when Goku just uses the Spirit Bomb at the very end of everything, rather than a Kamehameha. And then much later on, you see it's just Goku just uses a Kamehameha, and I'm like, oh. So for the first few films, it's like, oh, you use one technique and then you kind of like switch it up for another one later. I hadn't seen Tree of Might, and I'd only seen little bits and little clips of Lord Slug. But when looking back at like Tree of Might, it was really cool to see how that story progressed. How like Saiyans would come to Earth looking for Goku or Kakarot. And I'd always wondered why there was like an evil version of Goku who was tailless, or why he looked like him, should I say. And I really liked his interaction. Now, obviously, I've seen him in Xenoverse too, but actually seeing the actual film where Turles comes from, of what he's doing, like he wants the Tree of Might to drain the planet, as that's what it does, and then eat the fruit so he can become stronger. This was kind of a very interesting take, because I thought Goku and all that would be able to take down everything in one go. I also did quite like, now I think about it, like Yamcha when he's flying about in his car, he's like, yeah, Bulma's going to be amazed by this. Bulma's going to be my girl. And then the car gets destroyed. Those sorts of things, it's like seeing characters like Tien, Yamcha, Oolong and stuff, when they all come in, even though Oolong didn't attack in like Tree of Might. But still, seeing this sort of stuff was really, really cool to me. And it made me love the franchise a little bit more, seeing how these films were kind of made. Now in Lord Slug, it felt like one of those, oh, we're now traders, we're going to come to Earth, we're going to do this. You know, he's already immortal, so when he asks for eternal youth, it's not like the good guys are grabbing wishes. You know, it's the bad guys. They know about the Dragon Balls. They've made their wish, and that was kind of a nice touch. We normally see a lot of Goku, or you know, finding the Dragon Balls, calling Shenron, and then wishing for what he wants or something within the series. So it's nice to see the bad guys actually getting a turn of like, hey, I've got my wish. Woo! What made this interesting for me is that it was really nice looking back at the films. It was nice to see the animation as well as like the kind of storylines. I just kind of wish that these were in canon. I'm also finding, again, Turles, like finding out a bit about his origin a little bit, how everyone thought he was Goku, how a giant tree could just drain like the whole life force, but it wasn't that easy to kind of get rid of it until much later on. I paid a lot of attention to the films, also with the dialogue as well. Like it's very, from what we get now compared to back then, it was slightly a little bit different, and which kind of really made it interesting because it was really good to go back to actually see how everything really kind of started in Z. Now, when it came to Lord Slug, it took me a little bit of time to figure out that in the UK, we got a really bad dub with Goku sounding like He-Man, and then rather saying like the Dragon Balls, it's like, the Crystal Balls! Yes, that's right, Gohan, or whatever he called him. I don't think he actually says, like, they couldn't get the names right or something, and I hated that film. I took it straight back to HMV as soon as I saw like 5 seconds. I was like, nope, this is not what it is. And but it was kind of like interesting to see the actual fun animation dub compared to what that dub, and how that dub put me off watching that film. Now, out of these two films, Lord Slug was my favorite one. Now, the only drawback that I really hated was the fact of Gohan's whistling and how he starts whistling. Now, you kind of think, okay, cool, Gohan wants to show his friend that he can whistle, but it turns into a dance, and it's like, and it's like, oh my god, can you please stop it? Even Piccolo says, Gohan, please stop it, please doing this, and you know, Gohan just keeps doing it over and over again. I would have just gone, no, I can't done it, blast, and then if Gohan goes like, what's up? Like, I don't like whistling, it hurts my ears. But it's just the dance, and I kind of think that you don't really see this much in any other films, but I think it's still one of those progressing things from animes where it used to be like, I've got a song and dance and I gotta do it all for you or whatever, and just it irritated me. But I did like the fact that Goku goes to the full Super Saiyan. I thought that was really cool. Even though the Lord Slug film was really short, again, it felt like it was one of those, if you blinked, you missed something. I didn't really like that. But again, at the time, that's probably like, it was a long film. My final thoughts on the DVD. I would wholeheartedly collect this because it's really cool to see that old films, they've been digitally remastered for us. They have a lot of story that you kind of may have forgotten. And again, I really wish that these were canon, but still, it was really nice to actually look back and see films I've never seen before and go, this has just sparked my love for Dragon Ball again. With it being remastered as well, it's really nice to see that it's all been cleaned up for home release. And then you can see the different styles of animation compared to what it was back then to where it was later on in Z, and obviously now when we've moved into Super. My first time watching the films was possibly the History of Trunks film, so I'm really looking forward to that coming up later. And obviously we've got Cooler's Revenge, and then obviously the Broly films. That's going to be really interesting to see as well. If you're a fan of Dragon Ball Z, I would highly recommend picking these up. Even if you're not and you're just casually wanting something to watch, pick up, I highly recommend these films. They're very entertaining and they had me switched on all the time. I didn't really want to take my eyes away from it. I was just mainly focused in the films, and it's also really nice to kind of like look back and see about a few other things from the franchise. So Rangers, what did you think about this? Did you like the films? Did you not? What's your most favorite part of the film? Let me know down below in the comments, and if you've liked this video, like, favorite, comment, and subscribe. Check out all the other videos on the channel, and as always, Rangers, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in a bit.